Hi everyone, welcome back to the Pro MMA Betting Podcast. First one we've had for a couple of weeks. We've had a week off since UFC 238. So we're going to talk about UFC Greenville today. We've also got the Dana White Contender Series happening tomorrow. A quick recap on UFC 238, last event that we betted on. Well, with official bets anyway. We made profit on the pre-bets, just under a unit, so it was a small night, but as I always say, a win is better than a loss. Just under a unit's profit on pre-bets. That takes us to 15-3 on UFC events in 2019 for pre-bets. We won, I think it was 1.5 units profit on live betting, so it worked out just under 2.5 units overall. Takes members through to around the £8,000 or $8,000 mark. Profit for 2019 if you're a £100 per unit or $100 per unit better. We also had some boxing at the weekend just gone and Bellator 222. Now I didn't release any official picks to members, but I did tweet some free bets for the weekend. There was one free bet for Bellator, and I tweeted out three free bets for the boxing. All four hit. We had a clean sweep, 4-0 on them bets. I don't give out free bets too often. I think the last time I done it was for Movlid on PFL, maybe about a month ago, and he won in 10 seconds. So the last 5 free bets have came in. I can't remember what the one was before that, but keep an eye for them on Twitter. Give me a follow at Pro MMA Betting. Occasionally we will throw them out. It was quite rare for me to kind of throw 4 out, but on the Friday I was at a wedding. I would have released the Bellator pick to members as an official pick, but I couldn't get the email out to members as I was at a wedding. I wasn't sure if I was going to get the line. That's why I didn't release it prior to the wedding. In fact, I didn't think I was going to get the line. I bet the Dylan Dennis under 1.5. In fact, I hadn't even thought about it really prior to the Friday, because I'm not used to having bet online. I've just started using them the last couple of weeks, and normally for me to bet props or over unders, it's very difficult because I'm banned most places online, so I just can't get the money down. And I tend not to bet over unders anyway, but this one I was just extremely confident in. Thought there was value in anything under minus 300, and it was hovering around minus 260, and I kept rebetting it on bet online, just maxing it until the line went above minus 300. That's when I thought the value perhaps started to fade, so I just left it. I don't really like straight betting anything if I can over minus 250-ish area, but I was really confident on this one, so I tweeted it out as a free pick just because I couldn't get it out to members. That came in, and then the boxing ones I released as free picks, and we went 3-0 on then. So clean sweep, so keep an eye out for them. There's Dana White Contender Series starting back up this Tuesday, so tomorrow. I need to see odds first, but I have capped the card, and I'm definitely going to have 1 or 2 bets on that card. They will be official plays to members only, so if you are interested in receiving those picks, you'll need to sign up before tomorrow night, before the show starts. You can sign up at ProMMABetting.com. All of our picks are third-party tracked. We are the world's highest stakes MMA tipster. I post my bet slips on Twitter, so I verify that I am betting what I am recommending to members. And you can also see the stakes that I'm risking. I'm risking big money. I use £1,000 per unit, so I'm not messing around with Mickey Mouse money here. I'm putting my balls on the line. I'm backing up what I am suggesting to members. So always have a look on Twitter. You'll see the bet slips posted. You can sign up for the packages ProMMABetting.com. As I said, members are up £8,000 or $8,000 if they use £100 or $100 per unit, so you're easily getting your money back. Live betting is free money. We offer it for every UFC card. Very rare for us to lose on live betting. It's, as I've said before, it's the closest thing to free money that I've ever come across. If you can hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel, that would be much appreciated as well. And we're going to jump in now to UFC Greenville. Going to break the card down from top to bottom. Just a disclaimer, I did cap this card probably 2 weeks ago now, so I'm really hoping my memory's not going to let me down too much. But it has been a couple of weeks. I'm really trying to get ahead of the game so that I'm ready for when lines are released, that I can bet them straight away, especially now that I've got access to Bet Online, which I've never had access to before. They don't seem to ban winners. Although you are limited in terms of how much you can bet, you can re-bet the line, so you're not limited in a sense. So it's very strange for me to have access to a bookie like that online, besides a matchbook, which is a liquidity based book because it's an exchange. So for this I can it's kind of easier. I haven't got to wait for the bets to get matched, so I'm really liking Bet Online. So I'm really trying to keep ahead of the curve. So yeah, just disclaimer, hopefully I've not forgotten too much, but it's been a couple of weeks since I've done tape. But let's go into the card now, and we'll break it down as always from top to bottom. First fight on the card is in the men's bantamweight division. We've got Ewell taking on Anderson dos Santos. Just a quick look over the stats because there's something quite significant here. Ewell does have a 9-inch reach advantage. He's got a 4-inch height advantage. So these are really big numbers when you consider these guys are bantamweights. Ewell's also a southpaw. I'm not going to go over the stats too much. Dos Santos has had one UFC fight. Ewell's only had a couple, but I just think those ones were significant to point out. This is basically a grappler versus striker matchup. Ewell is going to want to fight long. He's got decent enough stand-up. He's got really good frame for the division. We saw him pick apart Renan Barao. Okay, the 2019, 2017 version onward of Renan Barao is not the same fighter. He's got a round in him, then he gasses, but Ewell basically picked him apart in round 2 and 3 using his long frame. Didn't have so much success against Nathaniel Wood despite the reach advantage and so forth. Nathaniel was catching him on the feet and ultimately using takedowns, which is the success Renan Barao had. Managed to take him down and win the first round. He got him down again towards the end of the second, but it wasn't enough to steal the round, and I don't think he even shot for takedowns in round 3. He was just too gassed. But basically Ewell is a striker. His weakness is his grappling. We saw Nathaniel Wood, who's not known for his ground game. He's more a striker, just to dominate and ultimately submit Ewell on the ground. Patrick Mix, who we just saw this weekend, and Bellator, who actually looks like a genuine hot prospect, took Ewell down and submitted him pretty quickly. And I also managed to find his fight with Dennis Piver on CES, which he managed to snatch a submission in the 3rd round, but first 2 rounds, again, it was him mainly getting taken down and controlled. So that is the big weakness for him. Anderson dos Santos, he's a BJJ black belt. He will stand with you, but he will use takedowns as well. So surely the game plan for him here is to be taking Ewell down, try and dominate him on the ground, try and get that back and sink that rear naked choke. Didn't go for any takedowns against Narimani. He was fighting up a weight class. I think it was short notice as well. Nad's a pretty physical guy. I think he elected to try and win that on the feet, which, he gave a decent account of himself, but he was kind of losing on the feet, and Nad was mixing in takedowns as well. I've seen a lot of people. Well, the line is rightly now basically a pick'em line. It opened up crazy. Ewell was like a minus 300 favourite. So anyone that managed to jump on dos Santos at plus 200, or even better than that, great bet. I think there was value up to around plus 150. Pick'em line now. I've seen some people that think dos Santos should be a decent sized favourite. I don't agree with that. I think it's a pick'emish kind of fight. I think Ewell, if it stays on the feet, I think Ewell picks him apart. Dos Santos is going to need takedowns. He's going to need to take him down and sub him. How bad is Ewell on the ground? I mean, he managed to survive Renan in the 1st round. Renan did nearly armbar him, but the fact that Renan nearly armbarred him, I mean, you don't see that cross-side armbar in the kind of the higher level of MMA anymore. And Ewell did escape it, but he was almost caught in it. Tapped by Nathaniel Wood. Probably not the best look for your submission defence. then it's Piver dominating you. I mean, Patrick Mix, in hindsight, isn't a bad loss because that guy does look like a genuine talent. So I don't know. I think this is a hard fight for me to call. I think my gut thinks Ewell might just win this on the feet if Santos doesn't come in and fight smart. I mean, surely Ewell's been working his takedown defence like crazy. It is his clear weakness. But Santos just needs, probably 2 takedowns to win 2 rounds, and then Ewell's going to need a finish. Anderson Santos, he has been stopped a few times on the feet. He's got 3 TKO losses. Victor Henry beat him. I've not seen that fight. I don't know why it was stopped. Was it a cut? Is it a doctor stoppage? I did see the Andrew Whitney fight. He caught him in the second round in Titan. So, the 3 KO losses have come in the last few years. He's got a good win over Ricky Simon, but it's a bit of a fluky win, really. He was losing that fight. Caught him with I think it was a right hand, dropped him and jumped on him and sunk in the rear naked choke. So, he's got to fight smart here, Anderson. He needs to secure these takedowns, try and dominate the fight on the mat. No, I'm gonna go with Anderson dos Santos. I think he can get takedowns. I think he can grind him out, possibly sink in the choke. But I wouldn't be shocked if Ewell can keep this fight standing and he wins on the feet, because I think he's got good stand up. He's got a great frame for the division. He fights long, massive reach advantage. Definitely think he can win this fight on the feet. Dos Santos has to go for these takedowns and secure them, otherwise I think he will get busted up on the feet, basically. So I'm gonna go Dos Santos. Like I said, anyone that got plus 200, even up to plus 150, I think that's a good bet. Pick-em-ish line now. I think if gun to made, if I had to pick someone now, a pick-em line, I'd take Andre Ewell. But I think at current line, it's a pass fight. I think any plus number over 150, there was value on Dos Santos. Anything less than that, I think it's a pass fight. If Ewell goes into the plus of numbers, then I think the value moves to Ewell. It is a bit of an old school striker versus grappler match up there, so it'd be interesting to see. Bruno Silva is out of his fight against Darren Wynn. I don't know who the replacement is, so we're just going to have to pass that one. We'll move on to Lipski taking on Molly McCann. So if we have a quick look over the stats for these two. Lipski, a couple of inches in height. Her reach isn't listed on Fight Metric, but I think she's got like a 4 or 5 inch reach advantage here from memory. She's 4 years younger. I'm not going to break into the stats really, because Lipski's only had the 1 UFC fight. If we just look at McCann's, because she's had a couple, averages 5 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 4. She used takedowns against Priscilla, so it's showing that she averages nearly 1.5 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 50% takedown defense rate. So Molly McCann, kind of everyone on the betting front pretty much loves to fade McCann. Lipski's been bet up here to a minus 270 favourite. She opened at around minus 140, so a lot of money coming in on Lipski. I totally get it. I'm not high on Molly McCann at all. I'm not high on Lipski though really either. She's got solid stand up, nice combination. She throws fast and hard. But I remember everyone was on her in her UFC debut, and I ended up putting half a unit on her that I got talked into it. I didn't like the play at all against JoJo. Now JoJo is probably a higher level than Molly McCann, but just her pre-UFC tape Lipski, I wasn't blown away. She had that 5-round fight where she looked good in spurts, but she seemed to go into low volume. She fights in spurts, like as I said. She got knocked down in that fight as well, and then just the UFC debut. I mean, the first couple of minutes she looked really good, but she really slowed down. I don't know whether it was octagon jitters, clear grappling discrepancy against JoJo, which isn't a great look, and I doubt Molly can take advantage of that. But I'm just not sold on Lipski. Look, I think if you got like minus 140 on Lipski, I think there's it's a decent bet. I still wouldn't have bet it big, but I probably would have pulled the trigger. By the time I got the lines, I think she was hovering around the minus 200, just under, and I don't know. Look, I might look silly here. Everyone might be right again. Well, not again, because everyone was wrong last time, because everyone was on Lipski last time, it seemed, and she was a minus 200 favourite. But, you know, maybe she will shine here and totally destroy Molly. I mean, Molly's got her weaknesses. She's a boxer. You know, she's got some bad habits. She leads a lot with a left hook, which is never a good idea. It's very easy to counter and see coming. It's a really hard punch to land. I don't like that. She's at a reach disadvantage here. But she will throw, you know, she's a tough girl. She's going to throw down. I don't think Lipski will be able to take advantage of Molly's lack of ground game. I think it's going to be a stand-up fight, and I just wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being closer than a lot of people think. It's definitely a pass for me at minus 270. Maybe my read's off and Lipski comes out and totally destroys her, but for me it's a pass fight, especially at the current line. Like I said, maybe I would have had a small play on her if I could have got that early line, but minus 270 for Lipski, she's very unproven for me. I can't go near that. She does have good stand-up, she does throw fast. It's just I need to see whether does she only fight in spurts? Is it a cardio concern? As I said, she did slow down against Jojo. I think that was due to the grappling. But watching that 5-rounder, the pace really drops off. You know, it's quite rare for women to slow down and gas. So I just need to see a bit more out of her to get a full indication as to her ability and her ceiling. But I mean, I will pick her here. But I just wouldn't be surprised if this fight ends up being a lot closer. I know some people are really, really confident. As I said, maybe my read's just off on this fight, but I just can see it being more competitive than a lot of people feel. So it's a pass for me at the current line, but I will go with Lipski to win a decision. My favourite next for regular listeners, men's heavyweight fight, low level one, Alan Crowder taking on Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Real quickly, I did have a quick look at tape just to see if I thought there was any value on Rozenstruik, but you could see against Albini that he's very, very green on the ground. He got taken down pretty easy. Albini was dominating him on the mat, got mount. Rozenstruik luckily was near the fence, managed to kind of push off the fence and get back to his feet. So that's the big concern for me. I mean, he's got an excellent kickboxing background. I'm not sure how high level he was. I remember for that last fight I did have a look, and all the kickboxing fights I found of him, it was him winning, and you saw it, the way he took apart Albini on the feet. The guy's got solid stand up. Alan Crowder, we saw him against Hardy, won by disqualification. I haven't gone back and rewatched the fight, but I actually bet the under on that fight and I won by like 1 second, so I don't know if my memory is skewed, but I remember it seeming like Crowder was starting to take over. But as I said, I'd need to rewatch it to confirm that, because when you've got money on a fight, and I was basically betting on Hardy to win under 1.5 there, and just watching that look like it was going to lose, it just skews your perception of a fight. So to be fair, I would need to rewatch it to see if that is accurate, and it was Crowder kind of starting to take over. But look, he hung in there, lost to a blatant illegal knee, but we have seen him knocked out as well in the UFC. So Rozenstruik's definitely got that capability. Crowder's going to have to take him down to win this fight. I'm going to go with Rozenstruik to win this. I think he probably gets the knockout, but I wouldn't be surprised if he gets taken down and ultimately gets submitted. Clear pass for me, minus 220 for Rozenstruik. As you guys know, I don't like betting low level heavyweight fights unless I think there's a massive skill disparity, which perhaps on the feet there is, but Alan Crowder does have the advantage on the mat because is very green there. You can see that, you know, the ground game is very new to him. So I can't bet on someone, you know, as good as their stand-up may be, when they've got a glaring hole like that in their game. So I'll go with Rozenstruik to win by knockout, but I think anyone paying minus 220 is taking a big risk there. And that's not to say Rozenstruik's not going to come out and knock him out in 10 seconds. It's heavyweight, it could happen, and you know, it might look like amazing value, but I think the longer this fight goes, the sweatier it could get. So yeah, complete pass for me. I'd need to see a lot more out of Rozenstruik in terms of his takedown defence and his ground game before I trust him with my money, especially against someone who is probably going to look to take him to the mat. Quite a bizarre fight next. We've got Louis Peña moving back up to 155, taking on Matt Wiman. Peña missed weight in his attempt to cut down to 145. I mean, he looked fine in the fight, cardio-wise and everything. I think he missed by about 3 pounds, but he's gone back to lightweight here. Matt Wiman, we haven't seen in, it's almost 5 years, so I don't know why he's coming back. Quick look at the stats. He's at an 8-inch reach disadvantage. He's got about a 5-inch height disadvantage. So, you know, he's got a lot going against him here in terms of the size of Peña. Nearly 5 years out. He's had 1 fight in the last 6.5 years. I mean, I don't know. I couldn't find any recent interviews with him. The last ones I found was I think it was 2014. He was talking then about kind of feeling a little bit old and so forth, and now he's coming back now. Why is he coming back? Is it a cash grab? Does he need some money? Is he having a midlife crisis? It's just really bizarre. I mean, back in the day, I couldn't really remember him too well. I remember him having like a grindy kind of style, so I went back and watched I think his last 2 fights I watched, and yeah, what I remembered was basically correct for him. Kind of got that grindy in your face style where he's trying to apply pressure. He doesn't really excel anywhere. Just one of them guys that tends to keep coming here, get in your face, and you know, I mean, even back when he was fighting, that style worked. He's done okay in the UFC, but he never really was given a stern test. You know, he was quite lucky in the sense that some guys come in and they're matched up badly. They might get 1 or 2 decent fights, and then they're suddenly chucked in against killers. You look through Matt Wiman's whole UFC career, and he never really had that. He was always matched with the lower end guys, so he managed to win more than he lost. I watched the TJ Grant fight and the Isaac Fili Valley Flag fight, and yeah, nothing stood out to me. You know, tough guy, get in your face, but I don't like his chances here against Louis Peña. Louis' frame, he's younger, he's hungry. I can see him stopping Matt Wiman. He's got massive reach advantage. I can just see him teeing off on Wiman. I mean, Wiman might be able to get a few takedowns, and Louis' got to be careful he doesn't let Wiman get his back and so forth, but I can only pick Louis Peña here. I mean, the layoff's just... I don't remember, has there ever been a longer layoff where someone's had X amount of time off and come back? I don't think there has been in the UFC. And yeah, I mean, he wasn't looking great when he retired, and he's 35 now. I'd like to see why he's coming. Well, I guess he's not going to admit why he's coming back if it is a cash grab or if he's having some kind of midlife crisis. But I'd like to see some recent interviews, but I just can't go with him. Louis training at AKA as well. I mean, he's got holes in his game. His takedown defence isn't great, but he's well trained. I mean, he's fighting a similar kind of guy here as to his last opponent, except Peterson. I mean, he's a smaller guy. He's fought at 135 before, but Matt Wiman is not a big lightweight. I mean, he should have fought. If you look at his frame, he's a featherweight. So it's not like Peña's taking on someone that's big for the weight here or anything. He's not. Matt Wiman should have been at featherweight. You know, he's a very small lightweight. So yeah, I just see Louis Peña teeing off from in here. I mean, I can understand people not wanting to rush and bet Louis Peña at -365 he is now, but personally I think that line's pretty justified. I'd be very, very shocked if Matt Wiman comes in here and pulls off the win. So I'm going to go with Peña. I think he's going to methodically beat Wiman down, and I think he'll get the stoppage in the 2nd or 3rd round. Men's featherweight division next. Really good fight this. Last fight before we move on to the main card, so it'll be the prelim headliner. Dan Ige taking on Kevin Aguilar. Quick look over the stats. Aguilar's 1-inch reach advantage. They're the same height at 5'7". We'll look at the stats for these two because they've both had 2 or 3 UFC fights. Strikes landed per minute. Ige is 4. Aguilar's getting up for 4.5. Strikes absorbed. Ige just over 3. Aguilar's at 4. Ige averages over three takedowns per 15 minutes with a 35% takedown accuracy, 60% takedown defense. Aguilar hasn't gone for a takedown in the UFC, and he says his takedown defense is 89%, but I mean, from watching the two UFC fights, I don't know if Dana White Contender Series is included here. It's not. So for me, it's 100%. I remember Barzola dumped him once, but he stood straight back up. I don't know if that's been counted as a takedown, but I don't regard him as being taken down in the UFC. So this is the best fight for me on the prelims. Dan Ige is very dangerous, especially in round one. He's got a little bit of pop to his punches. We saw him catch Danny Henry early, hurt him, and ultimately get his back. We saw him, he didn't hurt Santiago, but he unleashed a combo on the fence. Santiago kind of covered up, it allowed the takedown, got his back, pounded him out. He had Jordan Griffin's back in round one as well, but Jordan Griffin managed to survive, so he's definitely dangerous in round one. Julio Arce picked him apart. He couldn't get any takedowns on Arce, and he's got picked apart on the feet, got hurt a couple of times in that fight, got pretty much dominated in that fight, but he's looked solid in the three fights since. What I have noticed, you can see it in the Louis Gomez fight and the Jordan Griffin fight, is he can slow down a little bit. I don't know if he dropped round two in the Louis Gomez fight, but it was definitely a lot more competitive. He dropped round two against Jordan Griffin. He can slow down. Puts a lot of effort into his punches. He kind of throws pretty hard. He will go for takedowns. So, it all takes a lot of energy. So there is a bit of a question mark over his gas tank. He's got a BJJ black belt. He's got very heavy top control, particularly in round one, but that can dissipate as the fight wears on. I noticed that in the Gomez and the Griffin fights, that as the fights went on, his top control, his back control wasn't as good. He doesn't look great off his back, but I don't expect him to be tested on his back here. So he's got decent stand-up. He throws hard. Biggest threat from him is his takedowns and his ground game. Kevin Aguilar, 17-1 professional record. Looked very impressive in the UFC. He actually made his debut in the Contender Series. He fought up at 155 on short notice against a wrestler, basically. I tried to watch it, but I could only find round one of the fight, so I'm not sure exactly how it entirely played out. But since he's been in the UFC, his takedown defence has looked a lot solider than if you watch some of his regional fights. As I said, he's not been taken down. I mean, Rick Glenn's no takedown artist, but he stuffed Rick Glenn easy enough. He had Rick Glenn hurt a couple of times as well. Rick Glenn's a very tough dude, so Aguilar definitely packs power. You can see him on the regional scene. He one punches Damon Jackson in the third round. He takes out Fan Lee as well in the first round in LFA. He's definitely got power. And then against Barzola's again another really tough guy. Barzola just ate all of his shots. I think at one point he seemed to stun Barzola, but he managed to stuff all of Barzola's takedowns, who had really in his UFC run he'd been taking down everyone kind of multiple times, but he just couldn't get Aguilar down. Aguilar stuffed him pretty easily and got chewed up on the feet. So I'd definitely give Aguilar the advantage on the feet. I think he's definitely got the power advantage as well, but he needs to be very careful with Ige's ground game, because Ige is the best grappler that he's faced in the UFC. If he does get him down, especially in round one, he's got to be very careful. I did notice from watching Aguilar's pre-UFC fights that he does tend to get back to his feet when he is taken down. But as I said, Ige, perhaps the best grappler he's faced, and he tends not to give his back. That's what he's got to be very careful with Ige, is not giving his back when he gets up. He needs to push his shoulders against the fence, try and stand up that way. He doesn't want to be kind of rolling over to all fours and trying to stand up that way, because Ige will jump on his back, especially when he's fresh in round one. So, very interesting fight. I'm going to go with Aguilar based on the takedown defence I've seen from him in the UFC. I mean, Ige he's got a good double leg, but he's kind of a double or bust kind of guy. He's not a chain wrestler. So, Aguilar's got to be careful he's not caught overextending on the punch and Ige comes underneath. But Ige does slow down as well, so Aguilar, he's got to be careful round one. He's got to obviously make sure he survives round one. But I think the longer the fight goes, I think the more he takes over and the less success Ige will have getting his wrestling going. The line on the fight, I think it's been fairly accurate. Aguilar's minus 150 now. That's the highest I've seen it. He's been floating around minus 130, minus 140. I think that was kind of fair. But I can understand where people are coming from who think Ige's a live dog. But his cardio needs to hold up if he can't get around one stoppage, and he's going to need to take down and hold Aguilar down for the best part of 2 of 3 rounds, which is definitely possible because he's got a good grappling game. But as I said, I've seen Aguilar get back to his feet when he is taken down, and I've seen Ige slow down. So I do give the cardio advantage to Aguilar. I give him the stand-up advantage. I give him the power advantage. Ground game goes to Ige. But I will pick Aguilar here to win a decision. I think it'll be a competitive fight. But I just see Aguilar pulling away down the stretch and Ige struggling to get takedowns. So I'll go with Aguilar to win a decision here. First fight on the main card. I don't know why this is on the main card. Ashley Yoder against Syuri Kondo. Women's strawweight fight. I'll be honest, guys, I started to do tape and it was just like, I really can't be bothered. I'm not betting on this fight. I'm just not betting on it. It's just Syuri Kondo. I mean, she's 0-3 in the UFC. I'm not sold on her at all. I remember capping her quite heavily before her UFC debut, and nothing really stands out. There was a lot of fence clinching, I remember. She likes to stand. I'm picking Ashley Yoder here. Look, I can't give you the best breakdown on it because I just gave up on tape, but I think Yoder's kind of improved her stand-up. She throws with a bit of heat on the feet. On the ground, if it does hit the ground, spider monkey, she's fairly dangerous, but I think he's probably going to play it on the feet. I just think Yoder's going to land the harder shots that are going to catch the judge's eyes. I'm going to go with her to win a decision. So a quick look at the over. Minus 365. Well, goes to a decision. And it probably hits, but it's very juiced. I'm not in love with playing that, but yeah, I'll go with Yoder here. I don't think Kondo's really UFC level. I mean, having said that, Yoder, I thought she lost to ACB in her last fight. I remember I live betted ACB quite heavily. I've not gone back and rewatched the fight, but I was pretty shocked when the decision went to Yoder because I kind of counted my money on the live betting for that fight. So yeah, I could have picked Yoder, but I haven't done much research, so please don't bet Yoder based on my call here. Next, we got Kevin Holland taking on Alessio Di Chirico. Quick look over the stats. Holland's 3-inch height advantage. He's got 7-inch reach advantage. 4.5 strikes landed per minute. Alessio's just under 3.5 strikes absorbed. Kevin is 2.5. Alessio just under 3. Holland averages 1.5 takedowns per fight. Alessio 2.5. 50% takedown accuracy for Holland, 56% for Alessio. Holland 50% takedown defense. Alessio 77%. I had a small bet on Kevin Holland in his last fight, and I am not betting on that guy again until he sorts out his game planning. It was just, the guy, you just cannot trust the guy at all. I mean, it just does, just no fight IQ whatsoever. He's overly reliant on his scrambling ability. I think he thinks he's better than he actually is. I mean, I thought he lost that fight to Gerald Meerschaert. I think he was lucky to get that decision. I haven't rewatched it, but I mean, it was only 6 weeks or so ago, and as I said, I bet Kevin Holland and I thought I'd lost. Very lucky to get that decision. That he's an alt. I mean, you look at his performances. Will Santiago on Contender Series wasn't impressive. John Phillips, it was an okay performance, but I mean, John Phillips isn't UFC level, and let's be honest, Phillips had some pockets of success in that fight. Gerald Meerschaert, I didn't think he deserved to win that fight. Thiago Santos, I mean, he survived 3 rounds. That's the big win there, because not many people go 3 rounds with Thiago, but he was in trouble multiple times in that fight. Had a little bit of success towards the end of round 2 when he reversed Thiago and he had some top control. But yeah, the guy's just really, really hard to trust as a favourite, and the betting line here is he's He's a minus 225. Yeah, no, thank you. No way I'm trusting him. It's guaranteed to make you sweat, this guy. I need to see him fight a lot smarter before I trust him again. I think this is a winnable fight for Chirico. He's not a bad fighter. Seems to have improved since his first couple of UFC fights against Bojan and Gareth McLennan. Fought the Holy War Angel, I think his name was, one with a knockout in the second round. I mean, not a lot happened in that fight, to be fair. And then the Julian Marquez fight, split decision win back a year ago. Look, I'm picking Holland because he is well rounded. You know, he's got decent stand up and range when he uses it. His takedown defence is crap. He does scramble fairly well on the feet. But I definitely wouldn't bet him, guys. Do not be betting him as a minus 225 favourite. I would have dug deeper into this fight if I was hoping we might see like a pick'em line. A lot of people fading him after the Gerald Meerschaert fight, but not really happened. I mean, I guess if he'd beaten Meerschaert a lot more competently, or before the Meerschaert fight, if these two were matched before the Meerschaert fight, Holland probably would have been minus 350, minus 400 here. So I guess there has been a little bit of pullback on betting Holland. But yeah, I think, you know, if Chirico fights smart, he can win this fight. But Holland is just a scrambly kind of guy, and I just don't know if Chirico's got the game to shut him down. So I'm going to go Holland to win a decision, but definitely don't recommend a bet on this fight, guys. If you want to bet Alessio, I don't blame you. But when I say I don't recommend a bet, I definitely don't recommend a bet on Kevin Holland. If you want to have a punt on Alessio, feel free. I won't go big. I do think Kevin Holland's got some talent, but there's a lot of holes that he needs to shore up. So I'll go Holland to win a decision. Good fight in the women's flyweight division next. Andrea Lee against Montana Dela Rosa. A quick look over the stats. Similar height, similar reach. Lee's got 1 inch reach advantage. Lee averages 5.5 strikes per minute. Dela Rosa down at 3.5. Strikes absorbed, Lee's at 3. Dela Rosa just over 2. Lee averages 1.5 takedowns per 15 minutes. Dela Rosa just over 1. Takedown defence 72% for Lee. It says 0% for Dela Rosa. Been fairly impressed with Andrea Lee in her 2 UFC fights. I think last fight she definitely looked better than she did against Machado. She's pretty physical for the weight, very strong. Her stand up against Ashley Evans-Smith at range looks a lot better than it did against Veronica Machado, but Veronica, for all the sticks she gets, she's actually not bad striking at range. She's got I think a pretty solid taekwondo background, really fast kicks and whatnot, so probably somewhere where she didn't really want to dabble. But against Ashley Evans-Smith, yeah, she fought fairly long, picked her off. Lee is very strong in the clinch. She's got decent takedowns in the clinch, pretty physical. She's got good knees in the clinch as well from the Thai plum, and she seems to have a fairly solid ground game as well. So well-rounded fighter. I actually like her style. Quite physical for the weight class. Montana Dela Rosa, very solid ground game. You don't really want to be stuck on bottom against her. She's a very solid grappler from top position. Stand up is okay. She's got a wrestling background, I think fairly high level, but a lot of the times we've seen it doesn't really translate in the women's game to MMA. I mean, Ashley Evans-Smith, who Andrea Lee just fought, has got a quite high level wrestling background, I believe, but just hasn't really translated to MMA for her. Montana's UFC fights, I mean, she's been fairly well matched in terms of opposition. We saw her on The Ultimate Fighter, I believe, where she lost to Nico Montana, which quite interesting because she got beaten up in the clinch in that fight. That's basically how she lost the fight. She really struggled in the clinch, was overpowered. Nico beat her up in the clinch, and that's where Lee is very strong. So it's going to be interesting to see what improvements Dela Rosa's made. That was nearly 2 years ago now. She won her first fight against Ariel Beck, quick submission win, got a takedown, quick submission. And then since in the UFC, I mean, as I said, she's been pretty fortunate with the matchmaking, which perhaps has made her look better than she is. If you look at her UFC wins, Ariel Beck in The Ultimate Fighter, Christina Marks, Rachel Ostovich, she submitted in the third round. It was a very competitive fight up until then. And Nadia Kassim, who's terrible. So, the matchmaking for her has been good. She is good on the mat, there's no doubt about that. She's got a very good submission game. Her takedowns mainly come from the body lock, so I do feel she's going to struggle to get Lee to the mat here, because Lee is strong in the body lock. I mean, Ashley Evans-Smith did manage to hit a couple of double legs, but I mean, Ashley Evans-Smith, for all her fault, she's very big for the weight. She must be strong, because she's definitely carrying a lot more weight than most girls at 125, and just from looking at them, I'd say she's a lot stronger than Montana Dela Rosa, and kind of shooting doubles isn't really her game anyway. As I said, it's takedowns from the clinch, and Andrea Lee just seems really strong there. I mean, she was kind of out muscling Ashley Evans-Smith in the clinch. So I think for Dela Rosa to have success, I think she needs to get top position. I think she's probably going to struggle to get that position. I think on the feet, Andrea Lee is the better striker at range. She's also very effective in the clinch. I think she can probably take Montana down if she wants to. I'd probably advise her not to dabble in the ground, just keep it standing like she did against Ashley Evans-Smith, but she did try and take Ashley Evans-Smith down a couple of times, so I don't know if she will mix in the takedowns, but I think she'd be wise just to keep this on the feet. Both girls seem to know each other, because I remember them reading where they, especially Andrea, said she didn't really want to take the fight, but she didn't want to be training for a fight over the summer holidays, so she could spend time with her kid. So she took this fight so she could have that time with her child over the school holidays. So yeah, I just think Lee's more well-rounded. I think she's going to win a pretty comprehensive decision here. Andrea Lee's line was floating around like minus 140 for quite some time. I definitely think there was value there. It's up now at minus 230. Sort of, value on has started to dissipate a bit. It's women's MMA, so Montana is a talented girl. She is improving. She is dangerous from top position. So yeah, do you want to play minus 230? I'm not sure, but I think there was definitely value when she was sitting around minus 140. Even I think she was at like minus 170 for quite some time as well. I think anything under minus 200, especially minus 170 or below, I do feel there's value there. But now, yeah, it's I don't know whether I'd bet her at minus 230. The fight goes to a decision, minus 190. I mean, it's not bad if you don't think Montana's going to submit Lee. This could be on the feet if Lee fights smart, which I think she should, and keep this standing. So, maybe there's a bit of value there. In fact, it's women's MMA, minus 190. I think that's a decent bet, to be honest. Montana does have a good sub game, so if you don't think Lee can finish and you like Lee to win the fight, maybe that's better than taking a money line now. But I don't know, it's something to weigh up. But it's always hard to see women's finishes in women's fights, but they do happen. So I guess if you are very confident in Lee, for the sake of 0.4 points, you should probably take the money line, I guess. If you're not sure who wins and you think it's a competitive fight, I guess you should take Montana at the near on plus 200. So maybe it is a pass on the goes to distance line. Maybe there's not much value there, but I definitely favour Lee here. I think she's strong enough standing and physical enough to keep this standing where she can comfortably win this fight. So I'll go with Lee to win by decision. Men's welterweight division, Bryan Barberena taking on Randy Brown. Randy's got a 6-inch reach advantage here, 3-inch height advantage. Strikes landed per minute, Bryan's basically at 6, Randy Brown's basically at 3. Strikes absorbed, Bryan is pretty much 5, Randy just over 2. Bryan doesn't go for takedowns, Randy averages 1 per 15 minutes. Barberena's takedown defence 47%. I think that's skewed though by the Colby Covington fight. Bryan is pretty tough to take down, and he's very hard to hold down, so I wouldn't kind of read too much into that low stat. Colby couldn't keep him down at all. Randy Brown's takedown defense at 77%. Good fight. I'm looking forward to this one. A lot of money is coming on Bryan Barberena. He's currently sitting as a minus 270 favourite. He opened, I think he was around minus 130, minus 140, and kind of hovered around the minus 170-ish mark for quite some time. These lines were released really early, so there was ample opportunity to exploit value on these lines. Money has now obviously come in and he's minus 270. I don't like minus 270 on Bryan Barberena, but I do think if you got minus 170 or below, there was some value there. Bryan is extremely tough, throws a lot of volume. He's always kind of been disrespected by fans and the bookies because of how he looks physically. And he's not the most athletic guy, but he will fight for your money. Extremely tough. He hits hard as well. I don't think people appreciate how hard he hits. The guy can crack. If you go and watch his fight, he nearly stopped Leon Edwards. That fight was nearly stopped. He nearly stopped Vicente Luque in round 1. Had Vicente in big trouble, and then he took out Joe Proctor. He took out Jake Ellenberger. I know Jake's gone and Joe Proctor's not good, but the guy definitely has power in his hands. There's no two ways about it. Coming off an absolute war with Vicente Luque, a fight he was going to win. If he'd lasted the final 6 seconds, he would have won the decision. So yeah, he's a very, very tough man. As I said, high volume, in your face. He's not that fast though. He's not the most athletic guy. And this is an interesting matchup because Vicente Luque gave Bryan the fight he wanted. He's going to stand there and bang with you. No, Randy Brown isn't. Randy Brown's going to try and fight long. He's going to try and stay on the outside. Can he do that for 3 rounds and keep Bryan off him and not get caught is the question. Leon Edwards kind of used that strategy, but Leon Edwards is levels above Randy Brown, and even Leon, as I said, he nearly got knocked out in that fight, and Leon ultimately had the most success really with the takedowns and managing to keep Bryan down, which I was really surprised at because it's something that Colby Covington struggled with. Randy's coming back from a bad knockout loss to Hammer Fist, really, really bizarre knockout loss. He was actually looking alright in that fight. I had him winning round 1, he was looking alright in round 2, and just bizarre out cold from Hammer Fists from the bottom. Coming off a win before that over Mickey Gall, where they traded the opening rounds purely grappling, and third round he out-grappled Gall. Before that he lost to Bilal Muhammad. First round was all on the feet. I think Bilal won the first round with literally leg kicks alone. Randy's got that very long frame, so he's susceptible to leg kicks. It's not really something. Bryan does throw leg kicks, but I can't imagine him throwing them with the volume that Bilal did in round 1 to win that first round. And then rounds 2 and 3, Bilal got his takedown game going, as he does in most of his fights, and kind of grinded Randy out. I remember I bet on Randy against Eric Montano. Bad bet. He was a big favourite, and man, he was 2 rounds down going into the third round. He said he had mould poisoning or something, but just was not a good look in that fight at all. So you look who he's beaten: Matt Dwyer, Eric Montano, Brian Camozzi, all cut from the UFC, none of them UFC caliber. Mickey Gall isn't UFC caliber, he's still hanging around, but he's not UFC caliber. Lost whenever he's kind of faced a step up in competition. Stylistically though, I'm not as confident as some people are. I've seen some people really, really confident in Barbarena. Randy could pose problems here with his length, but he's got to keep Bryan away for 3 rounds, and can he do that? I don't know. Bryan's got some power. Randy, I don't really know if he hits hard. I don't know if his power's going to deter Barbarena at all. I just think Barbarena finds him at some point. Now, I wouldn't bet Barbarena at minus 270 personally, because I just think stylistically this could be an awkward fight for him. But I do think he does catch Randy at some point. How is Randy's chin? was those hammer fists just a freak occurrence? Like, it just does bode the question though, and you're facing a big puncher like Bryan, how will his chin hold up? And Bryan does throw out crazy volume. He's got to negate the reach advantage, but the volume is there from Bryan. Randy, he's got a decent jab. He throws a right hand. He doesn't really throw it straight though. Kind of throws it kind of around the side, so he loses a bit of the reach on it the way he throws it. But I just think Bryan's going to walk him down, and if he doesn't stop him, probably win a decision from definitely just pouring on the volume in rounds 2 and 3. But I think he probably does catch Randy at some point and puts him away. So I will go with Bryan Barberena, but I do think the line's getting a little bit out of hand. Minus 270 now, but as I said, it was hovering minus 170 or better for a long time. I definitely think there was value there. Fight doesn't go to decision, minus 130, but I mean, I think for all intents and purposes you're just betting on Barbarena to win inside the distance there, so which is it's plus 145 actually. I think you'd be better off taking that personally. I think if Bryan wins, it's a decision, which is plus 464. Come back on his money line, plus 230. I mean, I don't like taking props over money line bets, because if he knocks him out, you're just pissed off you didn't take the plus 230. So if you are thinking of betting Bryan, I'd say take the money line over a decision, because you just don't know. It's MMA, freak stuff happens. But I'd definitely favour Bryan. I think a late stoppage is probably on the cards, but I don't think there's any value left on the line. I do think stylistically Randy could potentially pose some problems, but he's got to keep Bryan off for 3 rounds, fight long. I mean, how much is he improving? Is it enough here to do that for 3 rounds against Barbarena? It's a big ask. And his I mean, I haven't seen cardio worries from him, but if Bryan pushes a pace, his cardio's got to hold up as well, because Bryan will keep coming. So I will go with Bryan to win. Probably a late stoppage here. Co-main event, John Lineker, late addition to this card, taking on Rob Font. I was actually betting Rob Font against Cody Stamann. I won't be betting Rob Font here, I don't think. I've not gone back and watched the tape yet on their first fight, but I've watched it again fairly recently. I think when I was capping Rob Font against Sergio, and I've seen their fight numerous times, so I remember it pretty well. Potentially I could be recording some bits incorrectly here, but as I said, I've seen it a fair few times, and my memory of it is Rob Font was just he legitimately seemed quite scared of the power of John Lineker. I remember he flopped to his back a few times to kind of escape the onslaught that John was bringing. The question here is, it was 3 years ago, has Rob Font improved enough? Versus, is Lineker possibly declining? Now, the Sandhagen fight could have gone either way, extremely close. I didn't bet Lineker in that fight because I rate Sandhagen pretty highly. I mean, I didn't bet Sandhagen either because I was just worried about how he dealt with the pressure. But Sandhagen does, especially offensively. He's got very good footwork. He mixes up his strikes really well. He's got really good angles. Rob Font's got a very good jab, but he's not got that footwork. He's not got that angling. And I just didn't like how he was reacting in the first fight to Lineker's strikes, and I can't imagine him reacting any better this time around, to be honest with you. I don't think Rob Font deals that well with pressure either, which is something Lineker is going to bring in spades. Now, this is a quick turnaround for him for the Sandhagen fight, but I just think he's going to march Font down and just win probably another decision here. Now, the line at the moment is minus 210 for Lineker. I don't think there's really any value there. I wouldn't take that now. I will say I did tip this bet to members for a unit, but I managed to get minus 137 on Lineker. I was literally in the bookies collecting some winnings, and they released the line while I was there, so I quickly snagged it. In fact, I don't know if I have released it to members yet, because the line straight away went back up. No, I haven't released it to members because I hadn't done the tape. But as soon as I bet it, the line went back up anyway, and now it's sitting at minus 210. So I do need to have a quick look over tape, but I probably won't be recommending it as a bet at -210. Just because there is that slight worry about where Lineker's at. Is he starting to decline? I mean, he's only 28, but he has had 40 odd fights. He suffered that broken jaw. But as I said, Sandhagen, who I hold very highly, that fight could have gone either way. Really, really hard fight to score. And Rob Font, has he improved since the first fight? Possibly, but I just don't like how he deals with pressure from what we've seen. And that first fight, I know it's 3 years ago, but yeah, as I said, I just didn't like how he reacted to the power shots, and he was flopping to his back. But I'm not sure -210 is a bet. I definitely think Lineker was worth a punt at anything better than -150 when you bear in mind the first fight and Font potentially being a little bit allergic to pressure. But there is that area of how much has Rob improved, and has Lineker improved in that time, or has he even regressed slightly? So maybe this will be closer than the first fight. I only took the bet for a unit because, as I said, it was pre-tape, and I think post-tape I wouldn't have gone bigger anyway. I've still not re-looked at the fight, which I will do because I want to see if I want to buy out of the bet, because the line does allow me to do so now. I can free roll on it because it's -210 and I got -137, so I will have a quick look, but I think I'll probably let it ride based on the first fight, and I don't think Lineker's regressed, if he has regressed, that much, and I don't think Rob Font's improved that much either. He has got a nice jab, he's got good boxing, but I just don't think he's going to be any better dealing with the pressure. And as I said, if he didn't like the power shots then, he's not going to like them now. So I still fancy Lineker here, probably to win another decision, but I think the line is maybe a little bit too high, especially when you factor in as well the quick turnaround. It's short notice. I mean, he should be in shape, Lineker, because he fought not long ago at all, but you would have thought he would have taken a little bit of time off to rest, so he wouldn't have been training. So there is that to bear in mind. But yeah, I go with Lineker here. I think Rob Font's going to have made a lot of adjustments to pull this win off, and I just don't see it. Main event, Renato Moicano taking on the Korean Zombie. Moicano 4-inch height advantage, 5'11 to 5'7, same reach. Strikes landing per minute. Moicano is he's getting on for nearly 6. Korean Zombie just over 4. Strikes absorbed. Moicano 3.5. Korean Zombie just under 4. Moicano, I was going to say I won't look at takedowns, but Moicano might use them here. He only averages just over 1 per 15 minutes. He's got a 54% takedown accuracy, 76% takedown defense. Korean Zombie, he's not going to go for takedowns here. His takedown defense is 75% though. Interesting fight. The underdogs have been winning massively on UFC main events this year. I think the last 13 main events, I think the underdogs are like 11-2. So it's it's a dicey time to be betting favourites in UFC main events. Moicano's coming off that loss to Jose Aldo, where he got caught early in the second round. Before that, he had the quick win over Cub Swanson. Before that, he had that dominant win over Calvin Kattar, where he just couldn't deal with the leg kicks basically of Moicano. And before that, he lost to Brian Ortega in a fight he was winning, and then he just dove into a guillotine and got submitted. He started to succumb a little bit to the pressure of Ortega, I think, which is why he went for the takedown. Korean Zombie, he had that big spread of inactivity due to military service. He was out for almost 4 years. He came back, got that quick win over Dennis Bermudez. Then he was out for like 18 months again. Fought Rodriguez. A fight he was going to win on the judges' scorecard. I think he was winning 3-1 going into round 5. And he got knocked out by a freak elbow with 1 second left of round 5. One of the craziest endings to a UFC fight ever. So I think Moicano is it's a hard fight to call. I think Moicano is the better guy at range. He can mix in his hands, he can mix in his leg kicks really well. but this is a 5-round fight, and the Korean Zombie is gonna keep bringing it. I don't think Moicano is going to be able to get the Korean Zombie out of there on the feet. I think he probably wins. If he wins this fight, it's going to be by decision. I mean, he's got 0 KO wins, Moicano. So I can't see, there's obviously the chance he could maybe drop him and follow up and, club him on the floor, or club and sub potentially, but it's just hard to see. So Moicano, I mean, he does have good volume, but I'd just be surprised if he gets a finish here. I mean, he's got a good sub game. We saw him drop Cub Swanson with a jab, follow up, sink the choke. But the Korean Zombie's a tough man. Freakish KO loss. I mean, he's been KO'd 3 times. I mean, it was a bit of a freakish one. Jose Aldo stopped him, but it's a long time ago. And he actually got stopped by George Root years ago. Like, we're going back 9 years though. He just doesn't fall much at all, has he, the guy? Even when he was kind of 2 fights in 2011, 1 fight in 2012, 1 in 2013, then the gap, 1 in 2013, 1 in 2018. I mean, he just fights once a year, don't he? So, I mean, I guess in that sense, you've got to think he's fairly young in fight years. He's had 19 fights and he hasn't fought much over the last few years. So yeah, I'd be surprised if Moicano can get him out of there. He's never been submitted either, the Korean Zombie. I think this does go to a decision. I think it's going to be a competitive fight, but I just think Moicano's probably going to be a little bit too much for him. He's going to pick him apart at range, mixing his leg kicks, and just do enough over the 5 rounds to win the decision here. Let's have a look at some props. I've not looked at these main event props at all. Fight goes to a decision. It's plus 175. I mean, it is a 5-round fight. It is the Korean Zombie, but I think that's a decent bet. Moicano to win a decision is plus 300. I think there's some value on those lines, for sure. Because Moicano, he's not really, I mean, he's a good striker, but he's not really a power threat. Not saying that can't change. Some people it takes, especially you see it with professional boxers, a lot of the times some of them don't have many KOs early in their career, but it's just because they're kind of learning to set their feet, because the amateur game is a lot different to the pro game. And then you'll find that, as they kind of have more and more fights, they start to get more and more stoppages, even though they might be stepping up a level, so they just get more comfortable in there. Not saying that's going to be the case with Moicano, but I just don't want to write someone off from winning by KO because they haven't got any. But yeah, it's hard to see him winning by KO here. I guess submission is the biggest threat if he can take the Korean Zombie down and dominate him on the mat. I mean, he's got a Korean Zombie. I remember that he's got a twister win over Leonard Garcia. Wow, that was like 8 years ago now. So yeah, I mean, he's got a decent ground game himself though. The Korean Zombie. He submitted Dustin Poirier, I know it was 7 years ago, but he's no mug on the mat. So I think there's some value there on this fight going to a decision, plus 175. The lightweights. So there's not as much of the one punch KO threat you get up at the heavier weights. So that's an interesting line for me. In actual fact, looking at that, it's a hard fight to call just because Korean Zombie was beaten. Yeah, it was a hard fight to score though. You had that win over Bermudez, who was kind of at the tail end of his career. He retired not long after that fight. And then you've got Moicano coming back off of a stoppage loss. So it's an interesting fight, but I do favour Moicano here. Minus 190. Is there any value there? I don't know. I think maybe I'd need it a bit lower for me to pull the trigger on Moicano. But I might dig a little bit deeper into this fight actually, because plus 175 on the fight to go the distance. I think that's a fairly interesting line. So I will go with Moicano here to win via decision. So that wraps up the card, guys. We'll be back next week for the next UFC. I can't remember what one it is, but I think we've got a fairly solid run of UFCs now. We've also got the Dana White Contender Series tomorrow. As I said, if you sign up, there should be bets for that. It's subject to lines, but I'm pretty confident both will be playable. If not both, at least one of them. So if you want them tips, you're going to need to sign up in the next 36 hours. And bets are already out to members for the Greenville card. We got in nice and early when odds were still good on the lines. The lines have kind of been smashed now, and the lines are actually available for the following week's card. So I'm starting to break that down at the moment. I've only got a few fights left to cap on it actually. So if you want to give us a follow on Twitter at Pro MMA Betting, as I said, I do throw out some free bets now and again. I threw out 4 at the weekend. They all came in. 1 Bellator, 3 boxing. Hit the subscribe button, guys, and if you want to subscribe for any of the packages, we offer pre-betting and live betting, and both combined. It's prommmabetting.com. Good luck this weekend, guys, with your bets. Hopefully we all make money, and I'll be back next week. Over and out.